Hello, this is Beastly Eel, and on today's video, I wanted to talk about Shang-Chi, but specifically the end credit scenes. So, for those of you who have not seen the movie, it is phenomenal. I highly recommend it. It was really good. A lot of action, a lot of great storytelling. It tied it into the MCU pretty perfectly, um, and it had its very nice own story, which I think was very well done overall. But that being said, let us move on. I'm talking about the end credit scenes. So there were two specifically. So the first one had to do with Shang-Chi and Katie back at the bar with their friends talking about everything they did uh, and how they saved the entire universe. Um, and their friends did not believe them whatsoever. And that's when Wong makes a portal in and calls for the two of them. So the two of them walk into the portal together with Wong, and everybody at the bar was kind of surprised and shocked at what was going on. So when they get brought to, I would assume, is the Sanctum, but I'm not 1,000% sure where they are. So anyway, there's an observation being done on the Ten Rings. They're asking Shang-Chi a lot of questions about like what's the history of them, how long have they been around, blah blah blah. He explains that his dad had them for 1,000 years, and he's not quite sure exactly where his dad got them from. And there's Captain Marvel and Bruce Banner there. The two of them are trying to decipher with Wong where they come from, and Bruce explains that they definitely have come from a long time ago, longer than 1,000 years. They must be alien tech, but Captain Marvel's never seen them before. She leaves in the middle of it, saying "Welcome to the team," and disappears. Bruce stays on for a little bit longer, discussing that there's the potential that there's something tracking the Ten Rings, and they most likely are going to be coming back for them, whatever, whoever, and whatever created them, and to warn them. And then he said, explain to them, well, good luck, you two. Your lives are going to be completely different than what they used to be. And then Wong are with Katie and Shang-Chi, and they're like, all right, we definitely need to get some rest after this. And then they're like, well, maybe. And then it's the three of them, Wong included, at the karaoke bar, drunk, singing. Now, the other ending credit scene, we go back to the Ten Rings fortress, and Xiaoling is there, and she's completely taken over the organization, and she's changed it. She's allowed women to train in it, and she basically says to everyone, "We got some work to do. Let's get it done." And it pulls out, and we see all these women and men training together to be ready for who knows what. And then at the end, it says the Ten Rings will return. Now, those two things open up the door to multiple things. So let's talk about the easier one first. Let's talk about Xiaoling taking over the Ten Rings organization. So what that proves to me is that she's going to be building up the empire. Now the problem with this is we don't know what kind of empire she's going to grow, whether it be evil or for good. My thought process, though, automatically is that it will be bad, but that's not 100% guarantee. That being said, she did create a fighting ring empire that made a lot of money at a lot of other people's expense, so I would not be surprised if she's not doing this altruistically, doing it for her. She's definitely going to be doing it for herself and for money. So I think they're going to be doing some sort of story with the Ten Rings, and I think they're going to do a show. The reason why I say that is they specifically said the Ten Rings will return. Ten Rings being the name of the organization, not the Ten Rings that Shang-Chi now has. Marvel's doing a lot of shows now, and they could be just a one-off, but still at the same time would be excellent to see them doing something like this, where it gets introduced to kind of the smaller scale crime in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. That being said, um, we're not 100% sure where it's going, but that's where my guess is. So let's talk about the big one. The one where we get to see Wong, Captain Marvel, and Bruce Banner. Now, Captain Marvel is there, I would imagine, to promote the Marvels and the Secret Invasion. The Marvels being um, her second movie, where apparently she's not going to be the main star like she originally had thought. But anyway, and the Secret Invasion. Now, the Secret Invasion is apparently now in the comics. It's when the Skrulls come in onto Earth to take over for a lot of the superheroes, where they're not quite known that that was happening. That being said, we're not quite positive how that's going to be done since that kind of happened in Captain Marvel. So I'm not quite sure how they're going to do it for the show. But that being said, I think she's there to kind of promote that she still exists and she's going to be a main part of the new phase of the cinematic universe. Wong's there to kind of represent the magic behind it. So Doctor Strange is not there, and I think that's very supposed to be very significant there. Um, he's not there, I would imagine, because of the things going around now. We now know that he's part of the reason why um, the multiverse kind of blows up in the capacity, mostly due to the fact of Peter Parker. So him not being there is kind of a shock, but also not because we don't quite know where this falls in the timeline. So it very well could work out that way. So then also relays the message on questioning, is Doctor Strange really Doctor Strange in Doctor Strange 2 and in um, No Way Home? There's been a lot of speculation that Doctor Strange isn't really him, that it's somebody else, blah, 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 blah. It very well could be. But it could also just be the fact that he's not there because he's doing other things. But it's definitely keeping that thought process in there that we're not quite sure where he is or if he's really him anymore. Now, that being said, we move on to Bruce Banner, which is the biggest elephant in the room. He's now Bruce Banner, meaning he's not Professor Hulk anymore. He is back to his normal self, which means he's transformed himself back to being a regular human, which I would imagine means that the Hulk still exists again, but the regular Hulk, not the two of them combined. Now, we see that his arm is still broken, which is a huge, huge thing because that means he hasn't healed, which most likely means he is not turned into the Hulk since he's changed back from Professor Hulk. And Professor Hulk never could heal the arm for whatever the reason, so it's going to take a long time for that arm to heal. But there's a lot of healing that was already done because if we notice, he didn't seem to have any scarring on his neck or anything. Now, granted, it was a hologram. We couldn't see his body completely, but it is a distinct possibility that he's starting to heal because he is able to heal faster than most humans. He's there because, one, he's a genius, and he's also the smartest person left on the planet now that Iron Man is gone. Tony Stark specifically. So he's there to kind of assess the situation, but it's also a poll to get more information on what's going to happen in She-Hulk. So we've had the speculation that he's going to be a part of She-Hulk, and it's going to be clear that we're going to get more information on what's happening with him in that show. And clearly, this is kind of giving a big like what happened to him, and I think we're going to have to wait to find out more about it. So Marvel's definitely doing a great job. This is the first movie that Marvel has done set in the new phase. Now, I say that because Black Widow was the first one, but it was set before right after the Civil War. So this one is the first movie that actually took place after the blip, in the sense of like for the new phase of Marvel. I know what you're thinking. Well, what about Far From Home? Far From Home was the ending of that era. This one is the first one after that. And we definitely get to see where it's kind of going, and we get a lot of kind of questionable stuff that we're not quite sure what's going to happen, but it's definitely should be piquing everyone's interest. And I really hope you're as excited as I am for the next stages in the cinematic universe. But again, if you've not seen Shang-Chi, please do so. It is awesome. Awesome. I highly recommend it. Acting, phenomenal. Action, amazing. Story, phenomenal. And it introduces or reintroduces some characters that we thought were long gone. Make sure you watch it. So, as always, if you like the content you see, please like and subscribe below. Other than that, this is going to be Beastly Eel signing out. Have a good night.